Hello, everybody. This is Paul Tinkle, and welcome to this weekend's 30 Minutes program. Our guest today is the new Weakley County Mayor. I like him. He has a lot to like about Weakley County. He says he loves it, and he wanted to run for the office of county mayor. He won that position, and now he's 30 days in. And let me just say to you, Mayor Dale Hutcherson, what's it been like here? Is it been like 100 miles an hour, or are you taking it at 30 miles an hour?
No, I would say it's been 100 miles per hour. And that's, the way I wanted it to be honest with you, because, one, I think this is a unique situation where, I'm having to essentially fill the last 2 years of Jake Bynum's 4-year term. So I'm stepping in at a time where I have to hit the ground running.
Okay, you've already started it, so I'm going to go ahead and jump on it. Are you planning to run for 6 years or just 2?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Okay, so you're looking at a 6-year term.
Yes, sir.
And you've already got some plans laid out, but the basic plans are to what?
Well, I'd say the big thing is take a 1,000-foot view. And one of the things I realized, prior to my swearing in, I met with just about every department head, an elected official, and most of our employees. And what I tried to see is, what, from a full spectrum perspective, what does the county handle? What do we have our hands in when it comes to operating day to day, making sure that we're not only taking care of taxpayer money, but also from an operational standpoint, what do I need to be doing to fulfill my obligations to the people, to the employees of our county, those type things.
Why'd you decide to run?
So ultimately, and I think, thankfully you and I have had a chance to talk about this while I was campaigning. I love Weakley County. That was the big driving factor, and I believe that the good Lord led me to pursue this office. I never had aspirations in politics, and I certainly didn't ever envision myself sitting in a county mayor's seat, yet here I am, and the Lord works mysterious ways.
Well, let's talk about this for a second. So you grew up in Dresden. You played sports. After you graduated, you went to Rhodes. Is that correct? And
That's right.
And then after that, to law school.
Yep. Yes, sir.
And then after that, you moved to California. I don't know if I got it right or not, but
sure,
somewhere around there.
Sure. So I'll kind of give you a timeline on how that all worked. I went from Dresden High School, went to Rhodes College, as you said, played football. That was the primary reason I decided to head down there.
Were you planning to be a lawyer?
I had an open mind. I think like many young people, I didn't know what my future held, and I wanted to, dip my toes in a few different pools and see what fit right for me. And I knew I wanted to pursue something in sports. I certainly had the law in mind because my father is an attorney, and I've watched him as I've been growing up work in that field, and I know he loves it. He's passionate about it. So I grew to have a similar passion. But I didn't fully commit to the law as soon as I went to college, So that was kind of interesting. What I did think at one point I wanted to do was to be the GM of an NFL franchise.
Okay.
That was, goal number one in my mind. And, we have people around here like Jerry Reese and John Robinson who, how did we produce 2 NFL GMs in our small corner of Northwest Tennessee? It's kind of unique. So I thought, well, I'd love to be number 3.
So you were going to be an agent?
Yes, that was part of the plan. Uh-huh. And, as that goes, it's the good Lord laughs at us when we make plans, and he, instills his own. So, with that, when I was in college, I actually got a chance to go and live in New York and worked under Jerry Reese with the Giants. He was gracious enough to give me an opportunity and worked through training camp there, and really got to see all the operational aspects that go into an NFL franchise. It was amazing. Wouldn't change a thing. And really it kind of drove me to want to continue into law school because I thought, well, that's the natural next step. If I can understand the law, understand contracts, then I'll be set up perfectly to go into that type of role.
Okay.
So I got to do that, came back, finished up my college career. When I was in law school, that's when, the sports law part of my life really started. You pursue these things. Sometimes you don't really know why. I guess I kind of had an end goal in mind, but as you go through life, you don't know what is going to happen. Well, my first year, after my first year of law school, I had a buddy that came up to me, knew I was interested in sports law. He found a ripped up brochure. And the brochure was for this University of Oregon Sports Law Institute. He found it on the basement floor. And no one was paying attention to it. And I thought that was kind of funny. He just brought it to me. I'm like, well, actually, that sounds like something right up my alley. That's what I want to do. So I decided to apply for it. Ended up getting into the University of Oregon Sports Law Institute. Went there, completed that, and got my sports law certificate, and met a lot of great people. And there we worked with everybody from the general counsel of Nike and the world headquarters, as well as Adidas North American headquarters. Oliver Luck was there at that time. Michael McCann, who's a renowned sports writer for Sports Illustrated. So, we had this broad spectrum view of sports law, so I kind of get to see from every perspective what goes into that. And I'd say one of the most important things I gained there, and this is kind of a theme in my life, is I met great people. And one of my buddies that I ended up randomly being assigned as a roommate to, the next summer ended up getting an internship in California. And he encouraged me to apply for that. I, went back to Memphis to continue law school, ended up applying, and I actually got rejected when I applied for that internship. And what was funny, all the other internships I applied for, several I got rejected on, and I got accepted to a couple. One was in Kansas City, Missouri that I was going to take, and another was in Florida that I was thinking about taking. But for some reason, this one in California that my buddy encouraged me to apply for, after I got rejected, I found the CEO's email. I sent him a direct email, and I said, I quoted back one of his own articles to him, and I said, "This is my last opportunity. I really hope you'll consider me." Well, they had already closed up their internship program, and he ended up sending me an email within 24 hours. And he said, "Dale, I really appreciate this email. Let me see what I can do." Well, one, I was shocked I got a response. That was a shot in the dark. You don't know what's going to happen. And shortly after that, he sends back, "I got an opening for you. I hope you're ready to pack your bags and head to California." So, life sped up pretty quick from there. And my plan was at that point, because I knew I wanted this so bad, was to get a gym membership and live in my car. That's all I knew. So, went out there and had a great experience. I did everything from, I worked for Warren Moon, who's a Hall of Fame NFL quarterback, and Andre Reed, Hall of Fame wide receiver, and to several other athletes. And
these are some folks you ripped?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And while we were there, I did a lot of their contracts and their legal, the legal side. And we did everything from go to the ESPYs. We were guests at the ESPYs, and I was a guest at Jerry Jones' after party at the NFL Hall of Fame, which was so unique. And I found myself sitting at the same table as Warren Buffett, Roger Goodell, Dan Marino, some of those figures that you never thought you'd find yourself sitting at the same dinner table with. And it was just a unique opportunity. But the most treasured thing I took away from that was I met Sam, my wife. And she was working in the athlete representation department, kind of helped everything from fulfilling contractual obligations to setting up meet and greets with the athletes, things like that. We crossed paths, and the rest was history. And she...
Okay, now I got to ask this question, Mayor. So how did you fund all of this, coming and going and taking care of yourself and putting yourself through college, and also on top, well, you had a scholarship, obviously, but you also had, you had paid to become a lawyer, too. I mean,
Sure.
There's a lot of money that was changing hands there.
Yes, sir. And a lot of it was, through the loan programs, through scholarships, things like that throughout my time in college and in law school. And I also worked. I worked several jobs in college and undergrad, everything from working the laundry room at night to the weight room to whatever work study jobs I could find, I did them. When I was in law school, I think at one point, especially my third year, I believe I had 4 different jobs, which consisted of coaching college football at Rhodes, working at a couple of different law firms. Actually, I may have worked at 3 different law firms at one point, just trying to make ends meet.
So why did you come back here to Weakley County? I mean, you're a rising star up there with all of these people that you're networking with, and you chose to come home and be back in Dresden, Tennessee.
Well, I'll say, and it might sound not genuine, but it is genuine. And I said it on the campaign trail because I meant it. Of all the experiences I got to have and the good Lord gave me, one of the chief things I took away and that I learned is that there's no place like Weakley County. There's no place like what we have right here, particularly when it comes to our community, the way we care about each other, the way we look after each other, and the village that we have surrounding us. That is second to none. And, what's funny, coming up through undergrad and law school, when I'd bring friends back home with me, the first thought was, where the heck are we going when we start seeing nothing but cornfields and trees and things like that?
Yeah.
But when we get here, it was unanimous across the board. Every one of them wanted to come back. And why? It's not because we have, a ton of theme parks or crazy amenities, but it's because of the people that they found themselves surrounded by. Mm-hmm. Folks that were genuine and wanted to just be their friend.
So when did you decide, after you made the decision to come back here and join your dad's law firm, and then to say, I think I want to be the mayor of Weakley County?
Sure.
And when did that come along?
So,
how long were you back here before you made that next step?
I would say Sam and I moved back with our daughter in, I want to say, September, October of 2021. Mm-hmm.
I think there was some COVID around that time.
There was. It was an interesting time, and we're glad we had the opportunity, obviously. And for us, one of the trigger points to moving back, and we knew we wanted to come back. It was a matter of when. But when Mila came along, you really start to realize, especially when you're in a city that I'm familiar with Memphis, but I'm not familiar with Memphis the way I am here. And you start thinking about, what do I want my daughter to be around growing up? Who do I want my daughter to be around growing up? And is it a village that genuinely cares about her and trusts, and that I can trust as a parent? Or is it, is it something that's not that, something that I'm not familiar with, that I grew up with? And that was a big turning point for Sam and I when we thought, okay, we have Mila, we're raising her, we're both working our jobs. It's time to get our village surrounding her. So that, that was a big part of it, bringing Mila back home to my family. And certainly, we wish Sam's family was here, but they're all out in California still, and they visit as often as they can, and we go visit them.
Okay, so you're practicing law. So when does that moment come?
Sure. So we come back, go through building the practice. I just thought, I'm going to build this practice. That's how I'm going to provide for my family. That's what we're going to do from there on out.
And you had the office downtown on University Street. That's
yes,
where
sir.
you were.
Yes, sir. That's right.
And go ahead.
And I had zero thoughts, like I said, of entering politics. At one point a couple years ago, someone approached me about the alderman position in Dresden. And even at that point, I said, well, I don't really want to be in politics, but it seems like an opportunity that I can utilize to go and serve this place and actually give back. So I went ahead and signed up.
Right in the middle of a tornado.
Right. Which exactly, and that's kind of funny. Is I will say that first little bit after we came October 21, tornado happened December 21. I'm a firefighter. I've been a firefighter for the past decade and a half. Being in the rubble with those other firefighters, with not only them but the members of that community, was special and kind of awe-inspiring when it came to taking that next step to run as an alderman just to serve. Mm-hmm. I had a chance to see the Dresden community come together, and really Weakley County in general come together and support Dresden the way I've never seen it before. Growing up, you hear about 9/11 and the 9/12 effect. The day after 9/11 was the most united our country's ever been in my lifetime, probably. And it's because the country came together to support one another. They didn't care about your background, none of that. Folks just came together for the good of the country. A similar effect happened in Dresden, Tennessee, in December of 2021, and that did inspire me to do my part.
Are you thinking about being in the county seat at that time? I mean, mayor didn't come across your mind?
Not even a little bit. And
Jeff Washburn was the mayor at the time. He was also a partner with you.
That's right.
In the law firm with your dad, Paul Hutcherson.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, all three of you were out there doing something during that time for sure.
That's right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, all of us were, and countless others. So, at that point especially, nothing crossed my mind when it comes to this county mayor seat. And I'd say that nothing crossed my mind about the county mayor's seat until about late February, early March of this year. And at that point, there's rumors surrounding. I think there were some rumors surrounding Jake looking into
another opportunity.
Yeah. But no one really knew. No one could confirm that. And I was approached at one point by a couple people. If this happens, would you be interested? And my initial answer was, no, absolutely not. I'm trying to grow the law firm. And, I don't see myself as a politician, never have. And this has never been on my radar. And then, a couple of weeks pass and more people approach me about it. And, and I'm starting to think my wheels get to turning.
Are these just Dresden people that are pushing you for this, or is
I'd say it's a mixture. There's a couple different ones. Some from Dresden. I'd say there's some from the Martin community as well as the surrounding communities that just happen to know me, and they thought, well, that's an interesting opportunity.
You're not somebody everybody knows in Martin or Sharon,
exactly,
or Palmersville or Gleason. You're just not that person,
right?
And you had to go out and work pretty hard to let everybody know who you are,
right?
And quite frankly, I see this as a bigger picture as a lot of work.
Sure.
A lot of work.
Absolutely, and it was, and it certainly is. I'd say, and like you said, unless you grew up with me, we played sports against each other, something like that.
You knew those guys.
Yeah, I knew those folks, but that's it. But what ended up happening was, I call it divine intervention, and I always will. I've seen the good Lord work in my life in so many ways, and I feel at this point it's appropriate for me to say, if I'm not sharing my own testimony, it's not for me, it's for God's glory. I believe that all of us have God working in our lives, whether we know it or not. Mm-hmm. And if we don't share that story, what was the point? Because it's not for me, it's not for my glory, it's for His. And that's what I want to make sure I approach this story doing. So, I had those folks approach Sam. I mentioned it to Sam. She and I talk about it briefly. Now, she's a very supportive spouse. She's the type that's never going to say, "Oh, no, you shouldn't do that. Yes, you should do that." She's always just going to say, "I'll be here, whatever you choose to do," and vice versa.
Who was the one person that you had to talk to, if you don't mind? Sure. Is there one person that you had to have their blessing to be able to say, "Go for it, because I'm behind you," or any of that kind of stuff?
Honestly, no. This was completely me listening and observing what I felt that God was setting up. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, I talked to Sam. She's my chief consultant, if you will. I'm sure you say the same about your wife, as and I know you do. I know you love your wife very much, and certainly your family. And in my family, I certainly consulted with. But what ended up happening was this. So a month or so passed by from this even being a discussion, and Sam and I are walking on the walking trail in Dresden just after work one day, and I look over at her and I said, "Sam, have you thought any more about this county mayor discussion? If this even comes up, I don't even know if it'll come to fruition." And she said, "Oh, well, I just want you to do whatever's going to make you happy." And I said, "Well," and I'm not kidding when I say this, I said, "Sam, I wish God would slap me in the face with an answer on what I'm supposed to do." And I'm not joking. Within 30 seconds, I received a phone call. And that phone call was from Jake Bynum. And, Jake and I have always known each other, but he had no reason to call me this day. It was just kind of a random thing. And he said, "Hey, where are you?" And I just said, "Well, Sam and I are on the walking trail." He said, "Well, stay where you're at. Let me come meet you." So we're sitting there kind of looking at each other like, what's this about? Well, he pulls up, walks with us down the walking trail, walks back, and it's essentially just telling me, hey, I found out that I'm going to be taking this position. Your name's been mentioned. I think you should know. If you're going to plan on pursuing this, this is how this goes. This is, the things you'd be dealing with day to day, essentially the job description. And he didn't have to do that. It came out of nowhere. Well, we get to the end of the walking trail that he walks with us all the way down. We drive him to his car, and he gets out and gets in his car, and Sam looked at me after the door closed and said, well, you asked for a slap, and God just put the current county mayor in your lap. So I thought, well, at that moment,
okay.
I said, okay, we're doing this.
Okay, 30 days into it. Mm-hmm. What do we pay you for here for these first 30 days?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I can tell you that.
Wait a minute. For those of you who just tuned in, we have the mayor of Weakley County, Dale Hutcherson. He's been on the job for a month. And now back to my question.
Yes, sir.
What have you been doing? What have we been paying you for?
Sure. So there's various things, and I started thinking about this earlier.
You had a heavy. I don't have a lot of time, but you had a heavy lifting.
Yes.
On the Finance, Ways, and Means Committee here, like almost a long day here.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. There were several resolutions that went through today through the Finance, Ways, and Means Committee, dealing with everything from.
By the way, to be clear, September the 10th is the day that we're. Not today on this Saturday, but I want folks to know.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Several resolutions dealing with grants that were awarded to our school, grants that were awarded to our sheriff's department, which is exciting news. And essentially that's been a big part of this first 30 days is constructing the agendas for each committee to review. And those are the type of resolutions that make real change and real difference in our community. Now, we may not see them until these things are constructed or until these things are implemented, but this is the bare bones where it starts. So I've definitely been introduced quickly into resolution drafting, looking at the budget, seeing where dollars and cents are coming from and where they're going.
All right, I suspect you know these numbers. So how much is it costing to run the Weakley County business right now? What's your budget out there now?
Ooh, that's a good question. I can tell you it's several million. We're in the millions, certainly. And that's split up, tens of millions, by the way. That's split up between various departments.
School, and you've got
right
roads, and you've got the health department. You've got all of these things that you're dealing with right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
By the way, is the air conditioning all working out correctly now?
So Dresden has been corrected to this point, I believe. Next up is Westview.
Getting it, okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So that's coming on down the way.
You got to be everywhere.
Oh, no doubt about it. That's something I learned really quickly is how many pots we're dealing with. Because we have our hand in various different pots, and trying to make sure that we're maintaining the way we're supposed to, while also watching out for taxpayer money. That's when you think about the rub of what the role of government is and the role of public officials are, particularly on the commission, and on the commission and in the mayor's office, it's protect taxpayers while also providing adequate services to our people and serving the people appropriately. And it's a balancing act. And I think I want to say politician, even though I hate that term, any politician knows that's the name of the game.
You kind of went in here after the budget and after the county commission made their means, and now you are with a full group of men that are on your county commission. What are they telling you right now? You've got a lot of guys who are got your ear.
Sure, absolutely, and what I'd say is all of them bring something unique and great to the table, and all of them have various passions and interest, and especially when it comes to representing their constituents in each district. So what's right for one district may not be right for the other, and vice versa. So what the interesting part of this is getting everybody to work together and row the boat the same way.
Okay, so in football, Rhodes College, are you the coach or the quarterback here?
So I would say I'm the quarterback, the people are the coach, and our commissioners are extremely valuable wide receivers that I got to make sure I get the ball to. That's what I would say. I'm the at this point, I'm the game manager, and they are the stars, and our people, I hope, will be pleased with what we put on the field.
I know your answer, but I need to ask, are you a little bit nervous about taking on this big job? I mean, this is probably the biggest job that you'll ever have.
I would imagine.
I think the chancellor's job is a very large job.
Sure.
Stanley Black & Decker, I mean, very big job. I mean, these are very important jobs that we're talking about, because people make major decisions on education as well as manufacturing. And in your case, you're dealing with lots of things, including children.
Yes, sir.
Kids, safety.
Absolutely.
Education, teachers. I mean, we go on and on.
You're right. And I'll tell you, the first call I made after I was sworn in was to Terry McDade. And I asked him about our school safety program. What does it look like? What's the training look like? How have we implemented certain safety procedures? And I can tell you, especially when it comes to Terry's perspective, he has made sure that they're adequately prepared in the event of any type of crisis. They're adequately trained. We've put dollars towards that, and there's actually a grant that we talked about this morning dealing with our school safety. So no, it is a big job, and to answer your question of if I'm nervous, I don't think nervous is what I am. I'm certainly excited about the possibilities, and to me, anytime you're preparing to do anything, I want to make sure that I'm fully informed with every decision I make. So nervous, maybe not, but I said excited, but I'd say eager is a good word.
I think if I had one thing to get to the county commission through you, and maybe somebody's already done it, but we got to take care of our people, and to take care of our people, we've got to alert the people. Yes, therefore, we need fire alarms. Sure. We need those alarms so that nobody will have to face a death that they didn't know might be coming up when we're dealing with another tornado. Absolutely. And we got to get sirens. At least I think so. Sure. To me, that's a big deal for Weakley County.
Sure. That's certainly something that's been raised by many citizens that share that same sentiment with you, Paul. I believe that, well, I know this. The city of Dresden, when I was an alderman this past time, applied for a grant for those sirens. And I'm certain that there are several municipalities that would do the same. And what we do on the county side, especially right now as we sit, is we want to make sure that we have those spaces opened up for when those storms are headed our way. Certainly the courthouse is a big component right now. The safe room that will be in the municipal complex in Dresden will be big. There is Ray Wigington does a good job of setting up a facility here in Martin to make sure people are taken care of. And, the more and more we implement those measures to give our people the option to go and be safe however they see fit, the better off we're going to be, certainly.
I would say you're going to be out of the office a lot.
Yes, sir.
Your phone is going to be important. You've always been transparent from what I know about it. Yes, What's your cell number?
Sure. So actually have to get a cell in particular for county business that I learned about. That's coming up. I'm waiting to hear from the finance director when that comes in. I'm still pretty green, so I will have that, and I'll have that on a card very soon. But what I'll tell you is this: I have my office is open, and if I'm not there, I have someone there at all times.
Glad you came in today.
Yes,
this has really been fun, Mayor Hutcherson, and we thank you for spending some time with us. And I think the public has a better understanding of who you are now, even though you didn't get to talk to everybody when you were campaigning. But it's clear to me that people wanted you to be the county mayor, and they expect you to do big things, whatever those things happen to be.
Yes,
and I wish you the very best.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I'm happy to come on anytime. I'll expand on anything you want me to, Paul.
That's our program today. We hope you've enjoyed our program, and with our visit to Weakley County Government and the mayor of Weakley County, Dale Hutcherson. Paul Tinkle, pre-recorded on Thunderbolt Broadcasting.
You've been listening to 30 Minutes, a community affairs program on Thunderbolt Radio. You can listen to this broadcast and others anytime by visiting thunderboltradio.com and following the Thunderbolt Radio and Digital YouTube page. Thanks for listening.